The U.S. Department of Education is canceling student loan debt for an estimated 40,000 people.
That's right. Another 3.6 million Americans will get credits to help pay off their debts. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona said in a statement, quote, "Student loans were never meant to be a life sentence, but it has certainly felt that way for borrowers locked out of the debt relief they are eligible for." The Department of Education will begin to remedy years of administrative failures that effectively denied the promise of loan forgiveness to certain borrowers. The changes come as the Biden administration considers canceling debt for millions of Americans. The White House extended the federal student loan payment pause through the end of August, and that has others wondering whether or not they will have to pay up. Joining us now from New Mexico is U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. Secretary Cardona, thank you so much for being with us. So you gave tens of thousands of Americans some very good news on Tuesday. Still, there are many more Americans who are waiting to hear that good news. So tell us about this student loan relief and how your department is dealing with the cracks in the programs.
Sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. You know, the promise of higher education, unfortunately, historically, has been a promise for some and not all. We are working really hard not only to consider ways we can provide debt relief, but fix a broken system. We worked last year really hard to fix the public service loan forgiveness system, and now we're fixing the income-driven repayment system, which means you shouldn't pay more than you can afford. And unfortunately, the poor administration of this program led to too many forbearances and basically borrowers having to pay more interest. So what we've done is we've cleaned that up. We're giving the students the benefit of the doubt and making sure that we can get them on a path to repayment and discharge if possible. I know over 40,000 are now eligible for loan forgiveness with public service loan forgiveness. That's in addition to the $17 billion in loan forgiveness we've given out in just 1 year.
Secretary, as we know, there is currently a pause on federal student loan repayments through August. It's uncertain what will happen after that. Totally canceling student loan debt would certainly help some struggling borrowers. But of course, there is someone on the other end of that transaction that wouldn't be receiving their payments. So what are the sort of real considerations to not canceling student debt with those borrowers in mind, and also the real considerations and the broad economic implications of canceling debt?
Right. Well, we know, as I said earlier, student loan debt shouldn't be a sentence for the rest of your life. So unfortunately, we have too many students choosing not to go to college because of fear of debt. What we're trying to do here is, number one, fix the problem. What good is it if we provide loan cancellation and in 5 years from now, we're in the same position we are today? We're fixing the problem that got us to where we are. We're also making sure college is a better return on investment, that graduates are getting what they paid for. But in terms of the loan forgiveness, there is no simple solution here. But we do know that our borrowers do need relief. This pause is providing that. It's preventing borrowers from having to pay $5 billion a month in interest. So we're trying to provide support to all borrowers while also looking for ways to provide loan relief for those through programs like public service loan forgiveness, income-driven repayment, and we're continuing conversations about a more broad-based loan relief program.
Secretary, you are in New Mexico today to talk more broadly about education and pandemic recovery. How's it going? I mean, we know schools really took a hit during the pandemic. So tell us a little bit more about your trip. Are you encouraged by what you're seeing?
I'm always inspired when I talk to students. I talk to high school students from Santa Fe High School today who, they told me how the pandemic impacted their lives. Many of them lost loved ones during the pandemic, and they're telling me, Miguel, well, they call me Secretary Cardona, but they said, we need more mental health supports in our schools. Academics are important, but right now we're hurting, and we need our schools to be structured that way. I saw in this school today a partnership with a community-based mental health support agency that works with the school to make sure that students have the support that they need, in addition to the support that the amazing staff provide. I'm hearing loud and clear from students that they're glad to be back, they're glad to be with their friends, but it's not the same. Just because our masks are off doesn't mean things are back to normal.
Right.
And that's a message that I need to hear, because when I'm in DC, I need to continue to fight for the American Rescue Plan funds to be used to support students' mental health, to support their academic recovery, and help those schools become the communities that we know they are. Many of these schools are providing meals to families who have had loved ones lose jobs during the pandemic. So our schools are the hubs of the community. We need to support our schools.
Important work needs to be done. Secretary Miguel Cardona, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.